Thought for the day. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Welcome to 7 Minutes for Yourself. I'm Christina Aina, and I'm so glad you've joined me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. Let's take this time to reconnect with ourselves and improve our well-being. In today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself, we take a look at the difference between leadership and motivation. Have a listen.
We say whatever you dwell upon or think about grows in your mentality. Like if you put water and sunshine on a seed, it grows in the soil. If you think about these qualities, you start to develop the qualities. Number one, the most important quality is vision. Number one, leaders have vision. Leaders have a clear picture of the future.
Peter Drucker said that if you do not have a vision to be a world leader when you start your business on your kitchen table, you'll probably never be very successful. So if you're starting your business on a kitchen table, imagine you could be a world leader. And then you ask the question, well, if I was the world leader in my field, how would I be different from today? How would my company be different from today? We were just talking earlier about Steve Jobs and Apple Computer. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak started out in a garage with an idea to put together pieces and make a little Apple computer that people could have at home. Bill Gates of Microsoft started off with this idea that if they could make it usable, you could have a PC on every desktop. Everyone's heard about that. That was his vision, a PC on every desktop in the world. When he said this in the late 70s, everybody said he must be crazy. The heads of the IBM were saying, there's no reason for anyone to have a computer at home. There's no reason for anyone to have a personal computer. And within a couple of years, they were literally avalanched out of the business because you find that everybody wanted a personal computer. The only question was the technology to build it and the programs to operate. Today, if you don't have a computer, you're living in the Stone Ages. People, your telephone is a computer. You have an iPad. You have a computer at home. You have a. So you start thinking of if your business was world class. If you were world class, how would you be different from today? And then here's the key. This is the key. Take the first step. The first step is always the hardest step because it forces you, like a chick breaking out of an egg when it hatches. The first step forces you to break out of your comfort zone. And the comfort zone is so strong that probably 90% of people are held back from their full potential all their lives because of this vice-like comfort zone. And when you take the first step, the only way you can do it is break out. And suddenly you see the second step and the third step and the fourth step. And then as you take the steps, your self-esteem goes up and your self-confidence goes up and you become more creative and you start to think of all kinds of ideas. And people say, what has gotten into you? I mean, what are you smoking? Because whatever it is, you should share it with the others. And so this is the difference between top people, is they have a big idea of what's possible and they take the first step.
In the Bible it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. What it means is the people just go around in circles. They never accomplish anything. They're like the Israelites wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. Why did they wander in the wilderness? It's because they didn't have a destination. So they just went around in the wilderness for 40 years. And finally someone says, let's go there. And Moses said, let's go there. They all went there. And my point is that if you have a clear vision, now everything becomes organized. And imagine that there's no limitations. Imagine that you have all the talents and all the skills that you need, which you do. The average person has more potential than they could use in 100 lifetimes. So you have lots of potential. You can learn any skill. You can accomplish any goal as long as you're clear about it and you're willing to work. So imagine that you have all the friends and all the contacts and all the knowledge and all the skills. If you had no limitations, what would be your perfect vision for your future? Your perfect vision for your home, for your family, for your marriage? What would be your perfect vision for your career and for your income? What would be your perfect vision? And then the only question you ask is the question, how? How do I achieve it? How is the question of top people. How do I achieve my goals? What are the next steps? What is my next action? What would have to happen? And then you take a pen and you think on paper. You describe it on paper. Because what we've discovered is two things. If you cannot write it down, you cannot achieve it. If you cannot write it down, you don't know what it is. You're unclear, fuzzy. It's almost like you're driving in the fog or at dark night with no lights. But when you write it down, it starts to become clearer and clearer. And there's a direct relationship between how clear your ideal future is on paper and how fast you create it.
That concludes today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. Today and every day with your kiddo is a gift. Enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in.